The sky hung heavy that morning, clouds swollen with rain, as if even heaven mourned. Emma's small black shoes sank slightly into wet earth as she clutched her worn-out doll. She was only 9, yet today she stood beside a casket far too large for her heart to bear. Her father, her protector, her only family, was gone. The mourners in black whispered among themselves, their umbrellas forming a sea of dark petals around the grave. But Emma's eyes never left the casket being lowered into the ground. She whispered through trembling lips, "Goodbye, Papa. I'll be strong like you said." Her stepmother, Vanessa, stood a few feet away. She wore a veil over her face, but Emma caught the glint of something cold in her stepmother's eyes, something that didn't belong at a funeral. When the last prayer was spoken and the crowd began to disperse, Vanessa turned sharply to the child. "That's it," she hissed. "No more pretending." Emma looked up, startled. "Pretending? You think this is your home? Your father is gone, and with him your place here." The words struck harder than the rain. "But this is my house," Emma whispered. Vanessa's lips curved into a cruel smile. "No, it's my house now, and I don't need you in it." Before Emma could respond, Vanessa snapped her fingers. 2 men from a household staff, once loyal to her father, approached. Under Vanessa's orders, they carried Emma's small bag of clothes, already packed. In disbelief, Emma clutched her doll tighter. "Papa said you'd take care of me." Vanessa leaned close, her voice like ice. "Your father's gone. His promises died with him." And with that, the gates of her home slammed shut behind her. The child stood alone on the dirt road outside, rain dripping from her hair, her entire world collapsing in a single cruel moment. Her knees buckled, but before her tears could fall to the ground, headlights cut through the mist. A sleek black car slowed to a stop beside her. The door opened with a soft click, and a tall man in a dark coat stepped out. His presence carried authority, wealth, and something deeper, curiosity. He looked at the shivering child, abandoned at the gates of her own home, and in a low, steady voice he said, "Little one, why are you out here alone?" Emma lifted her tear-streaked face. The man wasn't just anyone. He was a millionaire known across the city. And what he did next was silence everyone who thought she had no protector left. The rain-soaked road stretched empty, but Emma's little world had just shifted. She blinked through her tears at the man standing before her. He bent down slightly, eye level with her trembling frame. His voice was steady, not unkind. "Where is your family, child?" Emma's lips quivered. "Inside, but they locked me out." The man's eyes flicked toward the tall gates, then back to her. He noticed the bruised knuckles from where she had knocked, begging to be let back in. He noticed the doll clutched so tightly her fingers had turned pale. "Come," he said at last, extending his hand. "You shouldn't be here in the cold." Emma hesitated. Her father had once mentioned this man in hushed tones, Mr. Alexander Gray, a wealthy businessman, powerful and untouchable, the kind of man people spoke of with both envy and respect. Still, he was a stranger, and yet something about his eyes, gentle, searching, gave her courage. Slowly, she placed her tiny hand into his. Inside his car, warmth spread quickly. A blanket was draped over her shoulders, and for the first time since her father's death, Emma felt safe. "Tell me," Alexander said as the car pulled away from the mansion, "why did they cast you out?" Emma's voice was small, but every word carried weight. "My stepmother said this isn't my home anymore, that everything belongs to her now." Alexander's jaw tightened. He knew Vanessa. Society knew her. Beautiful, cunning. A widow twice over before she married Emma's father. Rumors swirled, but wealth had shielded her from scandal. "Did your father leave nothing for you?" "No will," he asked carefully. Emma shook her head. "Papa said he was preparing something, but he never finished." Silence settled in the car. Alexander's mind raced. A fortune was at stake. But more than that, a child's future had been ripped away by greed. That night, Emma stayed in Alexander's guest wing, a room larger than her entire old bedroom, with sheets so soft they felt unreal. But as the chandelier glowed above, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, staring at the doll in her lap. "Papa, what do I do now?" she whispered. Little did she know, Alexander stood outside her door, listening. Something in the girl's voice struck him, an echo of his own childhood. He, too, had once been cast aside after his parents' death, forced to fight for survival, and he vowed, silently, that this child would not face the same fate. The next morning, Alexander invited Vanessa to his estate under the pretense of discussing her late husband's affairs. She arrived in black lace, feigning grief, but the moment her eyes landed on Emma, sitting calmly at Alexander's side, her composure cracked. "What is she doing here?" Vanessa hissed. Alexander's gaze was cold steel. "That's what I intend to find out. Why is your stepdaughter on the street hours after her father's funeral?" Vanessa faltered. She ran away. Children do that. Grief makes them. But Alexander cut her off. "Careful with your lies. I've already made inquiries. And if I find you denied this child her rightful inheritance." For the first time, Vanessa's perfect mask slipped. Her voice sharpened. "That money belongs to me, not to some little brat who isn't even mine." Emma's eyes welled up, but Alexander rested a hand protectively on her shoulder. His voice was calm, but each word struck like a hammer. "Then perhaps it's time the world sees who you really are." Vanessa froze, because she knew Alexander Gray had the power to ruin her. That was the turning point. The game had changed. The stepmother had underestimated the girl, and the man now standing at her side. But Emma had no idea. Her late father had left behind a secret, one that would not only decide her future, but reveal why the millionaire had come that night. Days passed. Vanessa grew restless. She had expected Alexander to lose interest, to send Emma away. Instead, he doubled down. Lawyers were brought in, questions were asked, and whispers spread through high society. Vanessa tried everything. Sweet words, veiled threats, even forged papers. But Alexander was sharper than she imagined. Then, one rainy evening, a courier delivered a sealed envelope to Alexander's estate. Inside was a letter, Emma's father's handwriting, dated just a week before his death. Alexander read it once, twice, then closed his eyes. The truth hit him like thunder. The letter wasn't just a will. It was a confession. That night, he sat Emma down in his study. She looked up at him, nervous, clutching her doll. "Emma," he began softly, "your father left you more than money. He left you the truth." He unfolded the letter and read aloud. "To my dearest daughter, Emma, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. I regret not telling you sooner, but I entrust this truth to my friend Alexander. Years ago, when I was lost, he saved me, not just in business, but in life. And though not by blood, I consider him a brother. Emma, if fate is cruel to you, go to him. He will protect you as his own." Emma's eyes widened. Her father had trusted this man all along. And then came the line that froze Vanessa when Alexander read it before the lawyers. "Half my fortune is to go to Emma. The other half is held in trust, overseen by Alexander Gray, who I name as her guardian until she comes of age." The courtroom was silent the next morning as the will was read aloud. Vanessa's painted smile cracked like shattered glass. This is a lie," she screamed. "He never—" But the judge silenced her. The papers bore her late husband's seal, notarized and unshakable. Her greed had been exposed, her schemes undone. Emma sat quietly, tears streaming down her cheeks, not of sadness but relief. And Alexander, standing beside her, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "She's safe now," he said firmly. "You'll never hurt her again." Vanessa was escorted out, her wealth gone, her reputation in ruins. That night, Emma returned to the estate that had once been her prison, but now it felt different. She walked the halls not as a castaway, but as its rightful heir. At the grand dining table, Alexander sat across from her. "Your father was right," he said quietly. "Dignity, not greed, is what endures. Remember that." Emma smiled faintly, her doll still in hand. For the first time since her father's passing, she felt hope, and as the storm outside faded, she knew her story was no longer one of loss, but of a second chance. Sparkle's moral. True wealth is not gold or estates, but the dignity we protect and the love we choose to honor. Backhand index pointing right if you believe in stories where dignity triumphs over greed. Make sure you subscribe, because some truths deserve to be told. Before you go, I'd love to know, which country are you watching from? Globe showing Europe, Africa your support means the world to us. So please leave a like if this story touched you.